Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Kaboom!
Yes, Rico.
People of the Mojave, I have returned from the grave. Democracy is under threat, yet it is not dead. We shall fight for it like we did 200 years ago, and who better to do so than General Douglas MacArthur? For those who aren't major history nerds and or play Hearts of Iron 4 regularly, here's a brief crash course of who MacArthur was. Douglas MacArthur was a famous American general who conducted the American war effort in the Pacific during the Second World War, and later on led the combined UN force in the Korean War. In life, he developed a reputation for being tough as nails, a brilliant tactician with a gigantic ego. Notably for this challenge, he famously pushed hard for America to use nuclear weapons in the Korean War, which the Truman administration disagreed with, and this got him fired. For our purposes in this run, there is no one to stop me now from redeploying tactical nukes in the fight for a free wasteland. There are quite a lot of parts to get to for this run, so let's wade in as I ask, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as Douglas MacArthur? I feel like for once I don't do that bad of a job sculpting the face. Black flat hair, blue eyes, large nose. Special stats can go a lot of different ways. Knowing what my primary means of attack will be, I bump endurance up to 9, also to reflect that someone who experienced both world wars would be very durable, so strength is also boosted. I leave charisma at 5 since he was a very well liked figure among the public and press. I then take a few points off luck, given how sorely unlucky he was when he was caught off guard by the Japanese invasion of the Philippines in 1941. I answered Doc's questions in a way that he would agree with, before taking tag skills of explosives, guns, and speech. Traits are skilled and also hot-blooded. Loose cannon would have been an apt description of MacArthur, but I feel like I wouldn't get any use out of that trait. Rather than drop the pre-order items, I spare Doc and Mess and deposit them in a box before leaving. The most important and immediate goal now is to properly look the part, and I know just the outfit. The look in question is the uniform and cap of General Oliver, which of course are normally unobtainable, so console commands are authorized. The only major problem is that they provide absolutely no armor. Uniform does give me plus 2 charisma and 20 AP, and the cap gives a plus 1 to perception. But we need one more piece, which after a long jog south, I can find a pair of authority sunglasses. Shame there is no option for a corncob pipe, but do know I kept a piece of maize in my pocket to make up for that. Now the nukes aren't my only means of defense. Being an army officer for several decades meant MacArthur would have carried plenty of revolvers and pistols befitting his rank. So I do allow for now the use of a 9mm, a .357 revolver chambered with 38 rounds, and set my immediate eye on another, that being the .45 auto pistol, the closest match I could find researching something he actually would have had. Before heading to Zion, I come back and do the town of Goodsprings a favor for reviving me, and put myself through Sonny's training regimen. Not as tough as West Point, but it'll do. This run will entail siding with the NCR, obviously, but another side goal is to enlist all the potential outside help to come together, in effect to emulate the Rainbow Division he led in World War I, with one unit in the division from each US state. The effort to get all that together will come later. As for now, I need to make my way to Zion, and I will keep this brief. I'm only really here for the pistol and to help Joshua have his own I have returned moment in taking the fight to the White Legs. I have gone over in detail twice now the DLC of Honest Hearts, so for that reason I will skip over most of it. This may or may not also have to do with me forgetting to record the first couple quests, but that's neither here nor there. To go over the cliff notes, I can find a free .45 auto pistol on top of the one ranger station past the road you take in the beginning part, then purchase ammo and the mods for it from Josh. I have no problem taking companions in this run. After all, what is a general without his army to command and fight alongside with? My posting out in Utah is largely bug-free. On one hand, only had one encounter with Cazadors. On the other, more common type of bug in New Vegas, I could show off this one white leg who attempted the Japanese strategy of hiding inside the earth. Couldn't get to him, so I guess it worked. Later on during the final assault, I was delightfully reminded of the existence of the spaghetti demons from my first challenge run, with this poor unfortunate soul. Vats was my best friend for going forward on the offense, to minimize the time being shot and give myself time to breathe. By the time that Josh puts the last bits of American-made lead through Saltpond Wound's head, I am level 9 upon leaving. My perks taken in that time consisted of toughness and also grunt, since it affects the 45 pistol. Skill points went into guns and speech, but now that I have returned... Wait, I used that line already. Either way, I'm putting points into explosives now, as it's high time I track down my little boy and fat man, and I know just where to look. Heading east, I arrive at the former military base that was Nellis Air Force Base, and while doing the usual busy work of getting the boomers to love me, I stuck on over to the area you'd normally never go to, as there isn't any unique named NPCs over here. But as far as I'm aware, this boomer is the only NPC in all of New Vegas who spawns in with a fat man equipped, and they're just doing some gardening with it. I do pop a stealth boy and kill this person for their weapon, but it wasn't all that was needed in actuality, other than getting the 3 mini nukes they had equipped. Instead of the panels this time, I have the speech skill instead to get Jack to open up about finding love, to which he and Janet may be rushing into too fast. The lack of professionalism aside, I have to scrounge up a few missiles and scrap metal around the base to hand back to them, but then that finally gets me my first idolized rep. On the way to the bomber, I stop off at Camp Gulf to do something befitting of a 5-star World War general, and whip the Misfit squad into shape by getting them out onto the range and teaching them proper military discipline. Obtaining the Boomer's allegiance to the soon-to-return US of A is a great start, and will save time for when I do meet with Crocker, so let's keep this strategy hopping going, and travel to Freeside. You'll probably guess that I'm doing the walkie-talkie approach to GI Blues, so as to calm the violence at Freeside, but I also get to work on another potential ally, the Followers. Should I complete the request given by Julie to help the addicted, get them a reliable source of supplies, and donate enough of my own, I should get an option later on to ask for the Followers' medical assistance for the final battle. We will of course be back here for another reason, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Oh, and perks at level 10 was Demo Expert, and level 12 was the most essential perk of Hit the Deck. Not to spoil, but even with this perk, I still gotta be extra careful not to self-detonate. Speaking of detonations, it's time for my first Trinity test, and I know exactly who should be my first target. Convincing Swank that Benny is a communist spy is easy via speech, and I wanted to send him to his room to take him out. This went awry when Benny, instead of doing that, glitched out and stared at the wall in the lobby, not moving. I was dead set on Christianing the fat man on him, so apologies to the casino goers who got caught in the blast. Leaving the tops, I ensure Volpes won't be making it back to Kaisar, then go cause chaos in the Lucky 38. He may have built the place to protect Vegas from atomic fire 200 years ago, but with my presence here, I could show how the fate of democracies is not truly dead before ending him with supreme irony. My growing stardom amongst the NCR brings me to the attention of Colonel Moore at the dam, so that's my next stop. On the way, I restocked some warheads with Alexander, then got drawn in by the standoff in Boulder City. Wanting the cons on side for later, I instead negotiate for the hostage's release. One slight hiccup comes when the Radio Ranger does his thing and ambushes me inside the building, which funnily enough stops Jessup from engaging in dialogue. So Casual Loop, I guess we have our answer whether or not he would break this quest. I am very disappointed when I get to the dam and discover mini nukes are the one ammo type Barden doesn't have in stock. You might say, oh, it's a very rare ammo type, the NCR just doesn't use them. Fair enough, but then where in the hell are the traveling merchants by the Mojave outposts getting their supply from? Oh well, Voodoo supply chains aside, Moore wants the main con contingent dealt with, so it's off to Red Rock Canyon. So I figured with this much firepower, I can brave running past Quarry Junction. Oh, what a mistake this was! Trying to explode the death claws without killing myself was a very pressing concern. Judging distance isn't easy when you're this much of a glass cannon. Sure enough, I was overwhelmed. And then this happened!
The onus second is that stomach-dropping, breath-stopping moment when all you can do is say, oh no.
Eight times he killed me. I don't know why the game decided to prank me and spawn him out here, nor why sometimes he glided in the air for a few seconds. Eventually, I got enough distance, thanks to Turbo, to fire and cripple his legs, then finish him off and get revenge with a sweet multi-kill on his pack outside the quarry. I haven't mentioned specifically any of the mini-nuke types, but on the most fun and unique is definitely the tater tots. Essentially, it's like a grape shot, that scatters a half dozen smaller nukes over an area. So if you fire it high in the air, you can effectively carpet bomb entire locations and sweep them clear of hostiles in seconds, like here at Bonnie Springs as a demonstration of true American firepower. That said, I hold my fire when entering the canyon, and opt for the subtle assassination of Papa Khan so as to appoint Regis in charge and by extensions ally the Khans to fight alongside the NCR. This should be cut and dry, but this is New Vegas we're talking about, so why shouldn't it throw in a new glitch to make me question my sanity? I was all lined up to put a cap in Papa when my gun disappeared, as did my arms. When I fire, I hear the bullet hit a wall in the main room. Then I see it. Both of my arms and gun are entirely detached from my person and are floating in air when I try to aim. When I'm not, I'm normal, same when viewing in third person, but something is terribly wrong when first person aiming. I'm so dumbfounded I don't know what else to say. When I fire, the bullet goes nowhere near where it looks like I'm aiming. After I accidentally hit a con, I try to reload, but the spaghetti code of New Vegas finally has enough and promptly crashes. All this doesn't save Papa from getting bumped off, so with Regis now in charge, he will break the alliance with Caesar, as consummated by the brutal execution of Carl. Next on the block to straighten out is the Omertas. Oddly enough, you don't have to deal with both Clandon and Troik to complete the quest. I just helped Troik by showing him the blackmail tapes Big Sal had on him, then got him to blow up the gun stockpile with a thermite. The quest updates to then tell you to leave Gamora for a short while, but when you come back, Kachino will feel confident enough to confront the bosses. Clandon be damned. Well, it seems Kachino isn't the only backstabbing prick in the joint, as when I get the bosses to turn on each other, Big Sal immediately gets annihilated. Kachino, the bloodily cowardly son of a bitch, runs away and it falls to a random Omerta thug to jump in and put down Nero. I have no weapons, so I let them deal with their internal struggles, then report my success back to Moore. The Brotherhood assignment is up next, something that will take a substantial amount of time and traveling to complete. And I do start it by getting Veronica to allow me entry to parlay with the Elder. We need McNamara's side of things done to get the truce. At the same time I'm collecting the holotapes and the air filter parts, I make a stop back to the followers to pick up Arcade, so as to recruit the last true group of Americans left, the Enclave Remnants. I've gone over before how Arcade won't open up about the Remnants until you reach a certain point in the non-Legion questline. The point for the NCR is bumping off House, by the way. Refreshingly, he opens up immediately after I head over to Camp McCarran for one point, then talk to Dr. Hildern for the other. I'll mostly skip over the gathering of people for the reunion and the gathering of the parts, and instead show off my first encounter with Legion assassins. They may not be communists, but I'm always happy to blow up threats to democracy dressed in red. It's good they drop by, as they always drop anti-venom, which I need when attacked by a small group of Cazadors when searching for the Remnant's bunker. Doc Henry always needs help with his research before leaving Jacobstown, which I of course do. It's a wonder the cave doesn't collapse when I use nukes to clear the way, like I'm acting out Project Plowshare, a very real Cold War project to use underground nuclear explosions for mining and other related purposes. I don't leave Jacobstown hanging, as I also de-escalate the situation by convincing the NCR mercs to stand down and leave. When I do get into the Remnant's bunker, I did think ahead and had the speech skill to convince Moreno to stay on. He's lucky I don't kill him for his insubordination. Similarly, Arcade is convinced to put on his father's armor and join the battle at the dam, so finally he gets a time in a video where I don't screw him over. Now I do also get my own set of Remnant power armor, which while I can't use, is worth several thousand caps, which combined with my old Fat Man and Oh Baby, I can exchange for the best upgrade, the unique Fat Man, Esther. Best thing about Esther is the unique effect it gives when equipped, being an additional 10 DT and 25 rad resistance, so it's a considerable addition to help me avoid mutually assured destruction when fired. Good thing too, as my first perk after getting it was splash damage. Mini nukes already have huge blasts, why not make them even bigger? With this much destruction, clearing out the feeds to get to the parts I need in Vault 3 was child's play. Well, the entrance was a bit of a hiccup. I wanted to test out the timed mini nukes, but they took way too long and proved inadequate at killing, as by the time they went off, my targets ran outside the blast radius, or the geometry of the vault protected them, I don't know. I found myself using the pistol a bit more here for the close quarters, only firing the heavy artillery when I had sufficient distance to be safe. Even with a low sneak skill, the fact that I'm technically not wearing armor, plus the pistol being silenced, meant I was pretty decent picking them off from stealth. As for Motor Runner, he ironically doesn't do any running when I plant a nuke behind his chair. Shame I can't be completely done yet with the Brotherhood now that I got all 3 tapes and parts, cause now I need to meet the 3 scouts and collect their reports. I guess 3 is McNamara's lucky number or something. Nipton is special this time around, as since I killed Vault Base earlier, I get to meet the very rare NPC of Gavin who replaces him, similar to how if you kill Vault Base in Nipton, Alario takes his place on the strip. Shame all his men fall victim to my strikes, twice after I get caught in my own when misjudging how big a big kid mini nuke truly is on some assassins while running up the train tracks. My second time fighting them does give me a better understanding of how to use the timed nukes, to fire it in front so that it rolls on top of them by the time it explodes. Either way, the last scout is up by Camp Forlorn Hope, and the path I take has me recruited by Ranger Milo. He wants me to put down the Legion prisoners out of their misery, so I obliged by standing on the ridge, which gives me excellent fire control to rain tater tots all over Nelson. I know some sissies will complain about not saving them, but hey, mission complete and problem solved. But with that last task completed, McNamara will agree to the truce, which has me questioning Moore's intelligence when I report back.
Has the Brotherhood been found?
I'm blind.
No shit.
Second to last task now is to ensure President Kimball makes it through the day. Sure, I've had some disagreements with former presidents in the past, but not enough to let them die, so I go above and beyond. I snipe the sniper, swipe the detonator, and disarm the bomb on the vertibird. No harm will come to my commander-in-chief. For a job well done, I used the last of my caps to buy the subdermal armor implant, meaning my DT is just about the best it can be. one last task before heading off to the final battle, and that I need to wrap up my secondary objective and recruit the followers. I was gonna send over Jerry the Punk to their ranks for the last bit of rep, but it seems all I needed yet was to donate a few more supplies. This gets me their aid of providing medical support behind the lines, as well as membership and access to their safe house, which I was annoyingly denied when doing the dedicated safe house loot run. I never had gotten the followers' help before, so I guess I could check that off my New Vegas bucket list. In terms of gameplay, what this does is the followers have stashed a lot of medical boxes around the dam, which are chock full of stim packs, so quite beneficial if I must say. That said, those supplies were better served for my allies than me, as I wasn't holding back anymore. I see a clumped mass of enemies, I am firing directly into their ranks. 3 ranks of Demo Expert, a max explosive skill, splash damage perk, and the deadliest killing device known to man. What chance did the fascist forces of the Legion have? Step aside, I have another God Emperor to humble and humiliate. You know, it was quite amazing to see all my hard work pay off. The Brotherhood followed me all the way through the fighting, even all the way to the Legates camp, oddly enough. Arcade taking up position in the visitor center, the boomers bombing with a plane I haven't seen flying since Korea. The only letdowns were the measly 3 cons who joined when I emerged topside, who only made it like 10 feet before getting gunned down, and also the rest of the remnants, who had such trouble trying to find this one Centurion that he ended up killing Judah Kreger. Twice this happened, actually. Now the game didn't crash, I didn't die. So what made me go back? Well, how about the bridge leading to the Legates camp itself disappearing beneath my feet, and I was unlucky enough to fall inside one of the support beams, trapping myself. New Vegas. New Vegas never changes. After a bit more carpet nuking of the camp, I had to do it twice after accidentally blowing myself up one last time with a timed mini nuke, which is able to do impact damage, by the way, before it explodes. Interestingly, I tried bombing the place Landius normally stands, but as you probably can guess, he doesn't spawn there until you walk up the path to him. Not that it matters, no one is surviving a big kick mini nuke going off at their feet, let alone Cannibal Johnson, who dies to the follow-up to wipe out the rest of the Legates Praetorians. Except they somehow survived and proved especially buggy. Everyone seems very confused, like the Praetorians, who run back and forth between me and the tent, a game which takes a couple seconds to recognize that the Legate is dead, and lastly, the one Brotherhood soldier who followed me all this way, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But with victory achieved via overwhelming firepower, I can triumphantly declare, yes, you can beat Fallout New Vegas as Douglas MacArthur. This run will certainly be more interesting to me, a history buff and student, actually. Maybe this could open up some more ideas to play as other historical figures down the line. If you have a good idea for one, let me know. I like getting ideas from the comments. Likes and especially subs are also greatly appreciated. Once I do hit that magical 1,000 mark, I do have a celebratory video in mind for that milestone. But that's for a future date. With that, I have said everything I need to say, apart from my final goodbye.